Christ Greenfield family, welcome back to our Live Simply conversations. We're delighted that you're joining us for each of these incredible discussions that will keep you informed, encourage you, and help you to grow. Last week, we had a great conversation with Pastor Tim where he spoke about the Live Simply journey, really at a high level. And if you haven't watched that yet, we encourage you to go back and check it out because it will bless your heart and your understanding of why we do what we do at Christ Greenfield. Today, we have the honor of having my friend Rachel Bredow, who is going to talk about the next generation ministry at Christ Greenfield, and specifically how Live Simply is lived out by all of our kids of each of the next generations. And like last week, we just asked that you just imagine you're right there in Rachel's office, getting a glimpse of her heart and all about the next gen ministry. So let's dive in. First of all, I just am so welcome, Rachel.
Thank
I didn't get you a chance to say hello.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share my heart about next gen. And I do want to apologize that if you truly were in my office, it's a big mess because of VBS. So pardon the mess.
Absolutely. It is a fun time right now. We are 4 of 5 days through VBS, and it has been such a thrilling week with all the little kiddos at the East Mesa campus. So what do we have, like close to 150-ish?
Yeah, about 100. I think about 120. Yeah.
120 kids. Yeah. It's such a fun time. Well, and let's talk about kids. And I know with my 4 kids, as they grew up, they were involved in all the different ministries that Christ Greenfield had to offer, from Sunday school to confirmation class to VBS, of course, and then preschool through middle school at Christ Greenfield, as well as even into high school small groups and now even some activities for young adulting. And before we jump into Next Gen specifically, Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, how you came to Christ Greenfield, and why you're so passionate about Next Gen ministry?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to share. But first, Ed, I just want to say that the fact that your kids have gone through Christ Greenfield from like little to adult, it's very evident because they are amazing young adults, and you and Tammy have done a great job raising your kids up in faith and in the church. So that you guys are a great. I look to you guys for inspiration when raising my own children. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
To God be the glory.
Yeah. I originally went to school to be a director of Christian education, but then I changed routes like many of us do in college and went to teaching in middle school specifically. And my mom was a middle school teacher and she ended up being a principal, but I remember specifically in 6th grade thinking my teacher, didn't have the best understanding of us, I didn't think, as middle schoolers. And I thought to myself, I am never going to forget what it's like to be in 6th grade and in middle school. And I feel like I really hung on to that. And so middle school especially has my heart. So I've been teaching middle school all the way up through freshman in high school with coaching and all that for several years. And then last year, Tim approached me because Annie, our former DCE, was going to be leaving. And he said, would you want to look into being Next Gen? Because my youngest son was going to now be full-time at school. And so I'm like, I think I would. I think I want to try that and just have it be a change from the classroom or things that I've been used to. And I like a challenge. And so I said yes. And now it's been a full year now that Maddie and I have been able to work together. Maddie being our other youth director, our other director of Christian education. And this year has been amazing and hard and wonderful. And I just feel like it's great seeing how God has grown the program, but also stretched me individually. So it's been a lot of fun.
You guys have done such a great job of kind of reinventing the program and keeping aspects that were working really well, but also developing new opportunities for kids and young adults alike to get involved. And we're going to dig into that a little bit here in a moment. But I guess let's start at the high level. And one question we're asking all of our folks that we're interviewing is really the Live Simply discipleship journey. Really, in your own words, what does it mean to you, and why are you excited about it from your family's perspective?
Sure. I mean, on a practical level, we know it's worship, small group, and serve. And I think what I like about it is it just removes, I would say, distraction and obstacles and keeps the main thing the main thing. Let's just whittle this down and stop all the noise and just see this is what we really want in our life. We want to worship, not just on Sunday, but every day. We want to be in small group and community and get connection with each other, and also just serve. And all of those just tie together wonderfully, and that helps you just lead the best life that I think Christ has in mind for you. And so personally and for our family, that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's so good. And now let's take that and not even transform it, almost in parallel. What does that mean as a next generation ministry, part of the Live Simply journey? And why is it so important to our kids as well?
Yeah. And so next gen, when we say next gen, we mean really this range is like 0 to young adult to like 25. So that's the whole range. But, the one thing that I didn't realize going into this role was next generation, or a lot of times they say like CG kids or youth, it is a church within a church. So everything that the church does, from worshiping, programming, marketing, all that curriculum, all that kind of stuff, what the church does, we do it on a smaller scale at a different level. So we have our worship Sunday nights, especially for our youth group, 7th through 12th grade. We have our own worship. We have our own kids, youth that lead us in that worship. Sunday mornings for our kids, they have worship when they come back for Sunday school and for kids' church. So they're doing their own worship too there, and just really teaching them what it means every day to just be in the Word, and building that biblical literacy is so important too. And then we have our small groups. So for Sunday school, we have their classrooms. For the youth, we have small group leaders. And so that's divided by gender and also by grade. And they have their small group leaders who really get to pour into the kids and help them on their discipleship journey. And then serving obviously is a huge part. So we have our offerings, we have our tithe, we do Operation Christmas Child. For confirmation, which is for our 5th and 6th graders mainly, that's a deep dive into the Bible and the catechism with families and parents. That's part of the curriculum is serving. And so you have to have 50 hours for between 2 years of serving. And it's not because we want free like slave labor or free labor, like manual labor. We just want them to understand what it's like to serve. And I have seen so many kids just really love to serve. They just look forward to that almost more than they do when they actually participate in the program. And that really brings them together and builds that community when you get to have similar experience and shared experiences together.
That's awesome. And when they serve as the littlest of these, it just becomes part of a routine in their life that almost like you can't live without it. That's just, you're just wired to serve. And you guys have done a great job of offering that to the littlest and all the way up to even young adults. And I know if we take another aspect of Live Simply in small groups, you have opportunities for even young adults to be in small groups together, maybe even in the college age and college ministry. Talk about that a little bit with, if I'm a 20-something,
sure.
Maybe I don't think I'm in the next gen. I'm in this gen now. But how do you cover 20-somethings?
Sure. Yeah, we do have small groups who that is the age range and the demographic. So those meet. I know Maddie has started one on Tuesday nights, too, and they meet at 4 Silos. So it's not even at someone's house. It's just at a coffee shop, which I feel like that young adult group, like that is comfortable for them. And that's maybe more what they desire. And that's too, we're always looking for small group leaders who would want to launch their own Bible studies or their own small groups too, especially for that specific demographic, that specific age. Because, and then a lot of times in the summer too, we'll have gatherings for the college kids that have come back, and what we love to see is when that age group, really any age group, takes ownership and wants to start their own. There's some girls that have their own Bible study that meets in the summer when they're back from college, so it's exciting to see them just step out in faith and try something new and just do it and see where the Lord leads them.
That's beautiful. Yeah, let's play off that for a second. If I'm someone who's watching and I have some time available, I have a heart for regardless of the age, young children, middle school, high school age, or even young adults? How can I get involved as a leader within that ministry?
Sure. So first of all, I'm going to say our website is great and it continues to be updated and just make improvements every week. Like it's really impressive to me, our website. And so we have our next gen website, part of our regular website. Click on it and it shows you all the different areas that we have in next gen, what we offer. And also I would just recommend emailing Maddie, Hazy, or myself and saying, hey, I want to get involved. My email is rbredow@cglchurch.org. Maddie's is mhazy@cglchurch.org. We also have CG Kids Instagram and CG Youth Instagram pages that really keep updated with what we offer and that kind of thing. But just like on the program level, we have nursery during church services. They're up to 3 on Sunday mornings. We have preschool through 4th grade is our programming for Sunday school. We really encourage 5th on up to help serve it with the kids. You can be little small group leaders or assist in the classroom. You can help with crafts, like that kind of thing. So that's kind of for that age. Confirmation is 5th and 6th grade, and that is on Wednesday nights. And parents come to, and it's a 2-year program. And then at the end of that, you get confirmed, and you can take communion, and you are really just saying, like, this is what I believe, and I promise to live my life as a Christ follower. And then on Sunday nights, like I had said before, it's our youth group, so it's 7th through 12th grade. And we have worship, and we do small groups, and we do fun activities and stuff. And all that, we also have a lot of off-campus activities. So like this summer, we're going to go to the National Youth Gathering, which is an amazing experience for our high schoolers. And it's like over 30,000 Lutheran students gather, and this year we're going to Houston, Texas, and you just worship and you serve, and it's kind of like a similar thing. And there's also like small group time too. So I just remember that being a huge impact on my life when I was younger, to see all these people gather together and worshiping who are like-minded, like myself. And so in the summer, we have a lot of those like camp activities, or we go to these national youth gatherings and that kind of thing. So in the summer, we have programming, but it just looks a little different. And each year we're adding more and more things and tweaking it. And that's what I love about our community is we have an idea. Let's try it. If it works, if it sticks, let's continue to do it. If not, how can we change it? How can we make it better?
That's beautiful. And maybe that's a good transition to talk about as you look forward and based on your experience thus far and what has worked. I mean, where do you see next gen ministry going in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
Sure. It is my desire and passion to, like I said before, I love to see ownership from kids at any level and to get their input and to get their ideas. And so get a lot of feedback, ask questions, ask parents, like what works, what do you want, what do you desire, and listen to that input. But then are there any gaps we have? Are there any holes? Let's try to fill that in. So this year we're going to do a 3rd grade Bible class because they usually get Bibles in 3rd grade, but I want to really help parents instruct them in how do we use this Bible, and what does it look like at home when you do family devotions and that kind of thing. So we're going to add a class in like that. 5th, on Sunday mornings, I would love to offer a high school Bible study, like a more in-depth Bible study on Sunday mornings. And so I have a couple people in mind who I think would be great at teaching it, because at youth group on Sunday nights, it's not as... it's not a Bible study. It's more topical. You have like a little sermon and worship, and then you have small group discussion questions, but I want to dive deep into the Bible. So I thought Sunday morning, let's maybe try to tackle that, and we'll see if it catches on. I would love to try a family service. We kind of had a mini one on Sunday with our VBS celebration service, and it was so fun. The kids were up front, and they were leading us in worship and song, and they were dancing, and it was just so spirit-filled and joy-filled that it didn't matter, I don't think, what age you were when you went to it. You just like left feeling like the Holy Spirit was there. So I just get excited to try new things and to be creative. So.
I selfishly am thinking of putting a plug in for the musicians in the group too, because I know with all of our kids being having music lessons and in youth ministry, that was an awesome way for them to get involved. And I know for your youth services, having music at the beginning and just having a youth-led band is super cool. And whether they play an instrument or they just sing or they do both, those are welcome opportunities, maybe not only even in their own youth services, but also in church services as well, putting them in the rotation at one of our campuses also.
Yeah, we recently had a youth Sunday, and they participated in the readings and that kind of thing. And you see people, and you're just like, oh man, they have the potential to, be in church work maybe when they're older. Or I love seeing people just in their sweet spot and having them try new things and realizing they're really good at it. So I have an example. We just did Vacation Bible School at Gilbert campus this past week, and right now we're in the middle of East Mesa campus. And there was a lady, she's probably, upper 50s, like lower 60s, and she's a middle school teacher. And she was like, I will be an elementary shepherd. Preschool is not for me. It's not my jam. I do not want anything to do with it. And I was like, do you want to be a preschool shepherd? Because that's what we needed. And she was like, okay, if that's really what you needed. And by the end of the week, she was that was the best thing ever. And because she had really strong crew leaders. And so they really did it, because she was like, oh no, am I gonna have to clean up accidents? Or, she was just worried about what preschool meant, but she hadn't really had a lot of experience with it. And she goes, I don't know why more people don't volunteer. I'm going to tell everybody about this. This was amazing. I had such great help, and it wasn't that hard. First I was scared and intimidated. And so I just said, I was like, Carol, will you be willing to share that with everybody? Like when we promo VBS next year, because she was just on fire for it. So I thought there's several stories like that. And I asked one of our high schoolers to lead the openings, and he was like, sure. And he did a great job. So I just love seeing people step out in faith, but also wow, there could be some potential there for the future, so it's
absolutely. And God tells us and encourages us to step out of our comfort zones. And even though it can be scary at times, especially with kids, if you're a person that doesn't spend a lot of time around kids or doesn't have that background, it can be a little intimidating, but it is so fun and so rewarding. I've told the story numerous times about my first year of leaving my career, and I was the school lunch lady for the year, and helping out those kindergarten through fifth graders was one of the joys of my life, really. And you just take that step and get comfortable with it, and God will open doors and additional opportunities to lead and minister youth along their journey. And I think that's the most important part, is that they're on a faith journey as well. And the sooner you start them in that faith journey, the sooner they get comfortable in embracing Jesus as their Lord and Savior, the future is so bright.
Yep. We want to build that strong foundation so they always have that to lean on. And there's just, so many opportunities to get involved. And working with kids just keeps, I'm speaking for myself, it just keeps you young, and they just will say the funniest things, but they're so honest and just so pure and true. And you just, we were doing God sightings at Vacation Bible School, and I was asking the volunteers, did you have any God sightings yesterday? And one of the girls who was a participant, she was probably second grade, someone else had said somebody in my crew, they were crying, but then they got comfortable, these kind of things, there was kindness shown in my group, but she just raises her hand and goes, a kid in my group threw up. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, and let's turn this into a God sight. You're just you never know what they're going to say. You kind of feel kids say the darndest things, but I love that. And I love
it is
showing people how active our kids are and our youth are in our congregation. And I think it brings people hope for the future when they see these kids involved in church in different areas, and that their faith is important to them. There are so many kids who volunteered, and I know I'm talking a lot about Vacation Bible School, but that's what we're in the thick of right now. But I think there were so many kids who got involved in Vacation Bible School, and they really look forward to it every year, helping out. And it's just so fun to see them excited to work with other kids and pour into other kids. And that's kind of what you want to see, people poured into me, so I want to pour into them. And you want to see that continuing on, and that they know that they have people who have their back and who are there for them and who can speak life and truth into them. And that's such a fun thing to do, but also important, really important.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. I'm old, and I can say that VBS is my favorite week of the year, just because of just being involved in their joy, right?
Yeah.
Being a part of their joy. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
Maybe one last question is, do you see, as we talk about a church that's interested in leading and ministering other churches and growing maybe even our own Christ Greenfield ministry, do you see what you and Maddie are building is something that can be repeatable as we bring in new ministries, or maybe even as the Unite Leadership Collective works with other ministries? Can it be boxed up and maybe carried forward to other churches?
Yeah, totally. I think we're always thinking about that too whenever we're doing anything like, how is this sustainable? How is this, can it be spread to other churches for when we do start other campuses? And it's going to involve definitely a lot more people, volunteers or staff, depending on what it looks like. But we just continually want to raise up leaders and see, like, we're always looking for who has the potential to maybe start a children's ministry at another campus, or be help with youth at another campus. And so we always have our eyes open for that, and just see like how the Holy Spirit plants seeds into people and just bring people people's names to us. Like, who could this be? Like, who has the potential for that? We have done a lot of work too on just developing our mission statements for all the areas of Next Gen. So with confirmation and kids and youth. So, and it's not like Gilbert campus specific or East Mesa specific, but it's like, these are our main pieces, our core values for the church, and then also for these specific areas of ministry. And they're really solid, and they can be adaptable too, for depending on what the situation looks like and the different churches look like.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for being on with us this week. And I can see between you and Maddie just the passion and energy and investment, as you said, investing in our next generation. The future is bright because Jesus is in control. And the more that we teach the littlest of these, they can carry that forward to future generations. So thank you for all you guys do. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a joy.
We hope that you're enjoying these podcast series, this Live Simply discipleship journey. We've got a few more in the coming weeks that will talk about each of the different ministries of worship, of small groups, and of serving. So we invite you to continue to join us. And if you have any information, any questions, anything you want to hear, you can always send us an email or drop that in the church office as well. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you again next time on our Live Simply discipleship journey. Take care.